Now pretend like you just heard the song Unwritten again. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, I really messed up the PowerPoint. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. We won't point fingers. I love it that our musicians were so excited to sing that song for us that they just jumped right in. How about that? Wonderful. So today we finish our series on creativity. But I want you to know that we're not going to stop being creative. Because creativity is our nature. And so we always express our creativity. Today, if I have to have a title, it will be Reflecting with Creativity. So who's ready to celebrate Memorial Day? And how are you going to celebrate Memorial Day? Lots of different ways, right? So I want to say thank you to Linda and Linda for our beautiful altar. I hope you remember from Mother's Day, the chair. The chair is set here in many cultures to honor those who are not with us. And so on Memorial Day, when we're honoring those who have lost their lives, given their lives because of the war that they were serving our country in, we have a chair, an empty chair, to honor them. Well, that is what this day is about. Now, there's a lot of confusion with some people about Memorial Day, and so I'm going to give you a little bit of history here. Some of you, I know this very well. You've lived this for years, and you understand it. But I bet to venture that there are some of us who don't really know the history of Memorial Day. So I want to share some of that with you briefly. Although there's a lot of controversy around it, where it started, there are a few things that most people will agree on. And first, that it started after the Civil War. It was originally called Decoration Day, and it's celebrated in the spring, because the spring is when the flowers start to bloom, and so they could take the flowers to decorate the graves. That's why it's Decoration Day. And this was started as a holiday to honor the dead from the Civil War. Later, it was expanded, and you'll hear about that. The controversial part is, where did this start? And so as I did research, I found out that lots of people claim they had the first Decoration Day. Macon, Georgia, Columbus, Georgia, said they were the first. Richmond, Virginia said, no, we're the first. Bowlesburg, Pennsylvania said, we celebrated it 2 years before anybody else. Well, if it was after the Civil War, how could they do that 2 years before? Even Carbondale, Illinois said we were the first to celebrate it. It doesn't really matter where it began. What matters is today, right? Now, many of the sources that I saw said and agreed that it really began in Columbus, Mississippi. And in Columbus, Mississippi, on April the 25th, 1866, a group of women visited the cemetery there to decorate the graves of the Confederate soldiers. These soldiers had lost their lives in the Battle of Shiloh. And so as the women were decorating the graves with flowers, they looked at the Union soldiers who were also buried there, and there was no decoration for them. And so they went over, and with hearts of compassion, they also decorated the Union soldier graves. Many people say this was really the beginning of Decoration Day. In 1966, Congress and President Lyndon Johnson declared Waterloo, New York, as the birthplace of Memorial Day. Where'd that come from? That wasn't in any of my readings of early times. But Waterloo, New York said, well, we had a celebration on May the 5th, 1866. And they said, those other observances that you heard about, those weren't either not community-wide, They didn't last but only 1 year for whatever reason. They said, they aren't valid. Ours is the valid one. Again, does it really matter? Some other dates that I thought were important here. May the 5th, 1868, 3 years after the war had ended, Major General John Logan declared that Decoration Day would be observed on May 30th each year. And so that began an official celebration on May 30th. After World War I, the country realized that it wasn't just the soldiers we had lost in the Civil War, but we needed to honor soldiers lost in any war. And so they included all soldiers who had lost their lives. In 1971, Memorial Day was declared a national holiday by an act of Congress. And the date was then moved to the last Monday in May, because that created as a federal holiday was served federal holidays are often served on Mondays. And so they moved it to the last Monday of May. So if you've been confused about where it was a different time when I first started going to the cemetery with my mother, and she always called it Decoration Day, and then had to become Memorial Day. It's like, oh, well, that was an act of Congress. That was during my lifetime that they changed that. So it's like, wow, this was interesting to me. The last date I have here, 2000, that was less than 17 years ago, that Congress passed a bill, and the bill was signed by the President, the National Moment of Remembrance Act. And this created a White House commission for a day of remembrance. And the commission's charter is to encourage the people of the United States to give something back to the country, which provides them with so much freedom and opportunity. I think I've lived these last 17 years, but I had not heard of the National Moment of Remembrance Act. I must have been asleep. So what this act does is that it asks all Americans in giving back that at 3 o'clock local time on Memorial Day, that you pause for 1 minute to remember and to honor those who have given their lives. The founder of this, Carmelo LaSpada, says it's a way we can help put the memorial back into Memorial Day. So I thought that was very nice. So tomorrow at 3 o'clock local time, take a moment to remember and be grateful for those who have given their lives for our freedoms, for our country. Now, we are religious scientists. As religious scientists, what does this mean, Memorial Day? What can it mean for us? What should it mean for us? And how do we celebrate this? So Memorial Day for me is a chance to stop and reflect back on spiritual truths. We are people that look at life from a spiritual perspective. Yes, we have our human lives, but we also look at this through a filter of spirit. And so first, I would say we look at war, because for Memorial Day, we look at the people who have given their lives through war, right? So what is war? War is when we see ourselves as separate from somebody else, or they see themselves as separate from us. The spiritual truth behind that is that we're all one. And when we recognize our unity with all people, our oneness with all, we don't have to have that feeling of separateness. That thought of, I'm better than you, my way is better than you, I need to kill you so that you don't do things that are not my way. When we recognize that oneness, that unity with all people, we're called to something higher. We're called to a greater compassion in our lives. There are many ways that we show that compassion. It's not just in grandiose celebrations. Many times it's in little ways that we live our life. I want to share a story with you. It said this was quite a pair. A beautiful young girl with a bright white smile and a homeless veteran with a scraggly beard and a weathered face. Their friendship started out slow. The girl began saying hi to Tony as she traveled to and from her workplace. Soon they were having small conversations, and then regular talks, and periodic lunches. She says, Tony tells me about his war stories, loved ones, and who should win the Super Bowl, she wrote on a social media post. I tell Tony about my problems, loved ones, and how I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. From an outsider's point of view, many people thought the young girl was just offering a lonely old man an ear. But the friendship was very much reciprocal. The girl went through a period that was very difficult emotionally for her. And Tony reportedly helped her to navigate through some tough personal choices. One day she was walking around feeling sorry for herself, and she felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned and found Tony giving her a concerned look. He went on to say, I don't have much, but I want you to know that what you have done has been so wonderful for me. You gave me a friendship that many people could never give me. He took out of his army jacket the watch head of his favorite watch and pressed it into her hand and said, take this as a reminder that you are cared about. The girl wrote on social media, you get back not only what you give, but you get back infinitely more. So as we recognize our oneness and we delete the separateness that we have from people, even if they're different than us, if their skin is another color, if their dialect is something different, if they live on another continent, when we look for the unity in us and we live from that place, we find that we get back so much more. Our lives are much richer. Memorial Day is a time to honor those who have died defending our country, our ideals. The spiritual truth behind that death is immortality. We are immortal beings. We are eternal beings. We have no beginning. We have no end. Now, yes, on a human basis, there was a day that we were born, and there will be a day that we die. But our essence, our spirit, what animates us, what comes from our heart and deep within us, is that divine essence. And that is the part of us that's eternal. That's when our friends, our loved ones die, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're still being guided by that person. They still give you information. They may show you things that give you peace because it's okay, I'm safe. And then they will guide you in your life if you ask for it. That's the eternal part of all of us. So the spiritual truth here is that we are immortal beings. And as we celebrate Memorial Day, instead of being depressed and looking at the loss, we can recognize our immortality and the immortality of each person who has given their life before us. Yes, on a human level, it's sad, isn't it? Young men and women, they give up their lives for their country. But there is a hope there, and that is in our immortality, our eternality, because of the Spirit that is within us and that unites us. I read a story about a teenage girl who didn't really understand Memorial Day. She was late teens in high school, and her family had a tradition. They always went to the Memorial Day parade downtown. Her grandmother was always in the parade. riding on the back of a car, waving to people, holding an American flag, because her son had been killed in the war at 19. Grandma wanted to remind people that people had given their lives for this country, to respect and to love the country. And her granddaughter was embarrassed. She didn't want anybody to see her with the little American flag that her family had given her. And so she hid behind the tree. She poked her head out as Grandma came by, and Grandma caught her eye and blew her a kiss. She didn't really understand what this was all about. And that day, as they went through their normal celebration, and the girl was there, they had had their lunch, they were all talking, she walked into the living room and was staring at a picture of her Uncle Bud. Her uncle, this grandmother's son, who gave his life at 19 in the war. Grandma walked in and caught her, looking at the picture, just walked over and gave her a hug. And the girl turned and said, "Grandma, they say he's a hero. What is a hero?" Grandma didn't say anything. She turned and walked into the bedroom, and the girl knew to follow. And she did. Grandma took out a little metal box that had all of Uncle Bud's possessions in it that were left. First, she handed the girl the telegram that said, "Your son has been killed in Italy." The girl said, "How would I think? How would I feel if I received that telegram?" And then Grandma pulled out a mud-caked wallet. And as they opened that, there was his driver's license. This girl had just gotten her new driver's license, and so she started comparing hers with this young boy's and realized that they were very close to the same age. She went through and she saw the picture of his dog. And she asked who this beautiful dark-haired girl was, and Grandma said, "That's Maria. That was the girl he was going to marry when he came home." And the teenager realized her uncle never had the chance to grow up. He never had a chance to marry his girlfriend, to have children of his own, to love him and for him to love them. And she was even more embarrassed because she didn't understand Memorial Day, and now she understood how precious this life was and how it was cut short. So we hear those kinds of stories. We know those things go on. It touches our hearts. And what is our truth? Our truth is we are eternal beings. And so life will go on after this plane of existence. And it's good to remember that. Otherwise, it can get really depressing. The last point with Memorial Day that I think I want to make is that Memorial Day is about honoring life. And when we honor life, we look at our wholeness. We talk about how we are perfect, whole, and complete as beings. That's as spiritual beings. We know that physically we have some abnormalities, maladies, whatever you want to call it. But as spiritual beings, we are perfect, whole, and complete. We are each expressions of the Divine One. And as we recognize that, we raise ourselves up with greater power, with more ability to create the life we want and the future that we want, to bless others through our living in that wholeness and that peace. There are many ways that we can bless other people through our living. My last story about a girl who stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? This past March, Samantha Brown stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts, and when she returned to her car, she found an envelope under the windshield wipers. Inside, she found two $20 bills and a note that read, "I noticed the sticker on the back of your car. Take your hero out to dinner when he comes home." Thank you both for serving, him for being deployed, and you for waiting. It was signed, a United States veteran. God bless. The sticker on the back of Brown's car read, "Half of my heart is in Afghanistan." The heart was that of her boyfriend, Albert John DeSimone. He's serving in the Army, and Brown, who lives outside of Boston, went home and posted a photo of the anonymous gift on Facebook. It was too early for her to call her boyfriend. Above the photo, she said, "There are no words to describe how I'm feeling right now. Tears in my eyes. I just wish I could thank whoever did this. God bless our troops and all of those who stand behind them." That picture instantly went viral with over 1.2 million likes and 142 million shares. When Brown was finally able to tell DeSimone about this touching story, he said, "It's people like this that make me proud to be an American soldier." I hope that as you stop and reflect on Memorial Day, that you will remember our oneness, that you will remember our immortality, the eternality of life for us as spirits, and that you will remember your wholeness, and that it causes you to pray. And in that prayer, you will find ways that you can honor life, honor those who have given their lives, and honor those who have been of service to our country. As you do this, I know your life will become even more blessed, even more rich. And I thank you. Thank you for your expression of love, for your expression of joy. Do we have people here who have had family members who have lost their lives in war? So it affects many of us. And I say thank you. Thank you for moving forward in your life, and thank you for your family and the service that you're doing. We do have American flags up here. If any of you would like to take one after the service, you're welcome to take that with our blessing and our prayers. Let us pray. We know there is one power, one presence. It is everywhere. And it is in us, as us, and through us right now. And I share with you a treatment for peace of mind, written by Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind textbook. I am the principle of peace within me. I am the manifestation of love within me. My mind is poised in peace and beauty. All sense of fear or doubt is gone. I rest in calm trust and rely on the law of spirit to bring good into my experience. I contend with none, argue with none, and I am filled with wonderful peace and light. There is no uncertainty about my future, and no fear as a result of my past. I live in an eternal now, which is filled with good alone. Goodness and beauty follow me. Peace and joy accompany me. Happiness and wholeness fill my entire being with the realization of love and perfection. We are grateful for this time to stop, to turn our attention on the spiritual truths that are behind Memorial Day for each one of us. And as we recognize and celebrate our oneness with all people, the truth of our unity our wholeness, and our immortality, we find that we are in peace. We show up as love. We show up as compassion. We show up as peace in a world that needs our example, our love, and all that we can give. We are unified with everyone. And for this truth, and the truth of these words, I release this with a heart of gratitude, knowing that Spirit is all there is. And together we say, and so it is.